Good morning, Dana and Chelsea. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to our Friday morning builder call. Today is October 18th. So welcome, welcome. I think it's October 18th. So we've got some really great stuff to talk about this morning. I just got off a phone call, so forgive me, with my niece, my wife, head of our team building. We are headed to now as we speak, and headed to Stuttgart, Germany today to get in about 3:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. So that's really exciting. So anyway, lots going on. Let's start off this morning with shares and tell me what's going well and what needs to be going better. And if anybody wants to jump in and go first, that would be awesome. And if not, I'll share some exciting things.
Debbie, can I start? Because I don't know how long my voice will be good for me. And please just don't,
I love that. I love that background. Because the reality, Chelsea, is we all have it.
Well, okay, so I am going through Tiffany Peterson's 8-week course. And this week it's all about organizing your mind and organizing your space. And she said, like, anything that bothers you in your home, like, you need to get rid of it because it's taking energy, like positive energy away from you. And so, like, I've taken some pictures down that were crooked in our living room, and I'm completely going through our office because this is like the place that people have like dumped boxes that were like, oh, we don't want to deal with this yet. Like, we're not going to unpack those. And so I'm like going through everything and like organizing it all. And it feels so good.
Very
and
good.
This is like just what I've done last night. Like, I am listening to the trainings while I organize and clean and stuff. And yeah, so that's my like.
That's good. You can see it all over your face.
I'm like really happy about it. And I just took all of my like LLV and Mito 2 Max too, so that could be it. So I've got a lot of energy right now that I need to burn off. But another good thing that's really working for us is that we are preparing more for our online classes. Like, we've always been pretty good with our online classes, but now that I've been doing them by myself the past few weeks because Sean has been working a nighttime job. And so it's not as easy to like bounce back and forth off of each other. And so I'm really having to prepare more and really like dive back into learning about the products and the oils and stuff, and expand my knowledge to help other people. So
very good. Very good.
Those are my positives for the week. Oh, and I've been getting out more. That was a goal that I had this week, is to get out of the house more, use doTERRA in front of people, and sample. So I've only passed out one sample, but that's better than I did last week. So
awesome. The getting out is important, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Very good. Megan and Jen, so good to have you on here. Megan, if you're able to pop in here and share really quickly your wins for the week.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Now, hold on. I said, if you're able to jump on and share your wins for the week, what's going well, what needs to be going better for you, that'd be awesome. How we got you.
Let's see. I've just been learning more about the oils because I'm not very good at that. So that's why I need help. I don't know what to do. Yeah. So I've just been kind of just digging into that and learning more about the oils and what they do, and just learning about everything because, my daughter that's in college has really been using her oils, and she's really loving them and telling me how well they're working for her. And she's been doing a lot of research. So just passing that on to her has made me feel really well and good that she's able to take care of herself being away from home. So I've just been doing that and figuring out who I could talk to grow my business as well.
Awesome, Megan. So talk about that this morning. Anybody else wants to share your wins for the week? Dana, Jen?
I did a mini class last night on Facebook Live. But I did it on the citronella, diffusing it for to lower your cholesterol.
Very good news.
So I hope that people get a benefit from it. Facebook is kind of one of those things. It's a little ambiguous, so you don't know really what people get from it, but hopefully.
And they're changing their algorithms again, and so I don't know who's seeing what anymore. I'm finding that people aren't responding as much as they used to, and so obviously Facebook is becoming not our friend, right?
Yeah,
So we're gonna
yeah.
have to really get that. So very good. So it's been a really interesting week for me. I have also been engaged in a lot of learning as I get ready to go to Prague. I've been pushing to get through all of Lee Shedevy's 50 mentor calls well before I go. I have that, and I'm just going to ask that. And so that's been really a push for me, and it's been an eye opener. And I think back to when I started this business with doTERRA and how little I knew. And the only thing I had to go from was my excitement about a product line that actually was consistent therapeutically. So when I first got started with doTERRA, many of you know my story that I'd been using essential oils for a couple of decades, and sometimes they worked and sometimes they didn't. And when I found doTERRA, I was out to prove whether they worked or not. And so I sampled everybody in my wake, in my neighborhood, in my family. I created samples to see if these products would work for them. And at the same time, over the first month, I sampled away a family essential kit. And what I got back from that was indeed they worked for everybody. And so then I was hooked. Honestly, I was absolutely hooked. But I did not have any business training. I did not have any business background per se. And I certainly did not know how to do this business. And I look back at it as I've been going through seriously as quickly as I could, Lee Shedevy's 50 mentor calls, and digesting that and thinking, oh my goodness, what a interesting, great guidance we have here. And so I'm really going to submit that you all get through those as quickly as you can and do the work. One of the things she talks about, as I've been now, I'm on call number 45, talking about placements. And we all have made placement mistakes, but we've all made placement mistakes because we did not know. Welcome, Janelle. Good to have you. Wendy, good to have you on here. We all made placement mistakes because we did not really launch our business properly. And so she says, make a list of 100 names and reach out to everyone and sample as many as you can and get a positive product experience before inviting them to class, so that when they come to class, they're all sharing their own positive product experiences. Everybody's had them. Everybody now knows that the products work, and you'll have much more enrollment and excitement and engagement on your teams. One thing she's talking about in the placement strategies is finding capable, committed people. So I want you to ask yourself, who do you know that's capable and committed? And she defines what that means. And certainly a committed person does what they say they're going to do when they say they're going to do it. And that's her definition, that a committed person does what they say they're going to do when they say they are going to do it. And then she defines capable as those that you give assignments to and they just run with it. They do it on their own. And so they automatically demonstrate self-reliance from the very get-go. So I wanted to just step back and how capable are you in your business? And make a note of what you lack. If there's anything you lack in order to be committed and capable, if there's anything you're missing, if there's anything you need, any skill ups that you need, I want you to make a note of that this morning as we talk, okay? Because that's a big deal. And so we want to make sure that our committed and capable people are on our front line. Sometimes people are committed but not capable. Sometimes people come to every meeting but they can't enroll. Sometimes they're capable but they're not committed. They've got all they need to know. They've got it. They're incredibly influential. They've got the circle of influence that they need. They can, when they talk, people listen, but they aren't committed. There's distractions or something else that they're committed to besides this. And so when you have a person with one C, one committed or capable, but not both, they go on your second line. And when you share or build or product or share or product user rather, they go on your third line. And so if we don't sample enough people to get a really nice group to our launch classes, then we're not going to find builders very quickly. And if we never talk about the building opportunity, we're never going to find builders. And so that's something that I found out. And I don't know if Elena's on here yet. I don't see Elena on here. But when I enrolled Elena years ago, Elena had been referred to me as a doula client by a massage therapist, a gal that owned a massage therapy business. She owned Salt Lake Prenatal Massage. And when she referred Elena to me, immediately I started talking oils, because when I got to Elena's home for the first time, Elena had a lot of hip and pelvic pain. And I invited her to use some Deep Blue, and she stepped up immediately, went in the bathroom, put some Deep Blue on, came back to our meeting and said, "Oh my gosh, that works phenomenal. These are pure oils." She was European, from Finland, and tell the purity immediately. And so that was an interesting moment when I immediately started sharing doTERRA with Elena. She was hooked, and her comment was, "Let's get this baby here, and then I want to learn more," because she was 2 weeks from her due date when I met her. And so we did. We got that baby here. And after she got settled for a few weeks, she came back. Her baby was born in November. She came to a class in February, enrolled with the Natural Solutions Kit, and she was off and running. But she had a new baby. And I didn't take the time at the moment to tell her about the business opportunity, because I was thinking in my mind, she's got a new baby, right? She doesn't have time for this business. Don't ever do that. Because within the month of enrolling, Elena called me back and said, "Why didn't you talk to me about the business opportunity? I'm going to switch teams and go work with this massage therapist." And she caught me off guard. I was very uncomfortable, but I said to her, "Elena, this is what I'm going to offer." And I told her what I was going to offer if she stayed on my team. And I said, "You get to choose." And you had 30 days to face them, and they had 30 days to decide what team they were going to be on. And now we only have 14 days. And so at any rate, to make a long story short, Elena actually prayed about it, fasted about it, and chose to stay on my team. And the interesting thing about that now is the massage therapist businesswoman, who was an incredible businesswoman, still probably is no longer involved in doTERRA. And but every year when I would see her at conventions, she would tell me Elena should have been hers. So if we don't open our mouth, somebody out there that should have been ours is not going to be ours. That is true with a good friend of mine, Lonnie, that I've been on the phone with this week, as she has had foot reconstructive surgery and is convalescing and working with that after having 2 knee replacements. And Lonnie should have been on my team. So if we go out there and open our mouths, they're going to be on somebody's team, and it's not going to be ours. And so that's a wake-up call as well. So when Elise says put together your 100 names list and 100 plus names list, because we all know well more than 100 names, don't dilly-dally in doing that. Make that a priority, and then rank them, rate them. Follow her guidelines in those first 15 mentor calls and how she ranks them and samples them and follows up. Those are remarkable skills, and I'm going to be reviewing those for a long time to come. Because those are the skills that make the difference in whether we grow quickly or whether we grow slowly, and I'm going to add painfully, okay? Because if we don't get out there and talk to our group of people, somebody else will. So as at least as you go through these mentor calls, really do the work. Take time each day to go through at least one. Many of them are just a few minutes long. The ones as you go further on, some of them are 20 to 30 minutes long, and she has you watch additional YouTube videos, and I'm saving all those YouTube links. When I click on the link to watch her webinars, to get the full story, she calls it, I'm pulling that up on YouTube, saving the YouTube links and documenting that in my notes section on my phone. And so you'll be seeing some of those YouTube videos posted on Promoting a Healer in Every Home, and especially the placements video I watched yesterday. Phenomenal information with regards to who we put on our front line, who we put on our second line, who we put on our third line. And if we're only enrolling one here and there, we don't have a lot of know to know where to put them, or a lot of wiggle room to know where to put them if we're not enrolling builders. And so that's a really key part. So that actually ranking your people according to 7 categories. Are they female? Are they between the ages of 35 and 55? Have they had experience? Are they open to natural solutions? Do they have a supportive spouse? Those are really key things to rank them on, to know when we have a 7-star person, we want to reach out to them first. And very often we hold off on the 7-star person to last. And those are the ones we should be reaching out to first. Another thing she comes through along about, call number 38 or something, was 3-way upline calls. We have not taken advantage of this. And we heard about them years ago. Peggy Smith advocated for those, but we really have not done those. And so when we're talking to those key players that are business builders, and we know they are, that our 7-star people are influential, that's when we really need to engage the 3-way calls a lot more. And the person we do a 3-way call with, it just doesn't have to be us. We don't want to be the expert with our circle of influence necessarily. Let somebody else be the expert, preferably a silver or above is the recommendation from Elise Chedevy. Okay. And so at any rate, great information. I'm not going to spoil it for you. I want you to go back and do it. But we're in for some really wonderful education there, and some redos, some relaunches of our business. And she encourages us, whether we're launching for the first time or learning this for the first time, to relaunch our business. And so I'm going to invite you all to relaunch your business. Get out there and do 100 names list. Get out there and sample them properly, follow up properly. So when they come to your classes, they are already positive product experience users, and they're much more likely to say, yeah, I've got to have this. So being as I said that, yesterday I took my boys up to the hot springs. We're on fall break right now. And so we try to do some fun things yesterday. We just have yesterday and today and then the weekend, and they're back to school on Monday. And so I took them up to the hot springs yesterday and met a couple. And it was kind of a fun, you got the hot springs and you got the cool pools. And so my son, my 17-year-old had gone from the hot to the cold waterfall. I don't know how to describe that at Crystal Hot Springs, but 3 waterfalls together that you sit under. And one's really burning hot and one's really pretty hot, and then another one's cold. And so you can flip-flop between any of them if you want. And that's what my son was doing. And he invited me to go to the cold. I wasn't so keen on going to the cold, but I did. And it was really, you got used to it really quickly. It was kind of amazing. But as I did that, I was back, and I had 2 older people watching me, watching him, then watching me, watching this interplay that was going on between my son and I. And it was kind of a funny interaction because they asked me about it. And I said, well, years ago I visited Finland, and in Finland they have saunas out on the decks at the lakes. And so they go from the hot sauna to the ice lake, hot sauna, ice lake, hot sauna, ice lake. And they have spas everywhere, and they do the same thing in the spas. So they have the cold pool, the sauna, the cold pool, the sauna, and they go back and forth and back and forth. And they see it as very therapeutic and beneficial for the health and for your body. And so, and anyway, I ordered chicken. He's like, and so he's 71, she's 72, and they started asking me some questions. Well, why were you in Finland? And I told them I was there doing some training as I sell essential oils, and I train others to do the same. And so we got to talking about it, and they got to talking about, both of them had heard of essential oils, didn't know much about it. And anyway, it led to a great conversation that lasted a good hour or 2. I actually ended up talking to people rather than going between all the different pools again. And my kids were ready to leave to go get something to eat, and I was not. And I wish I could have stayed another few hours. But at any rate, it led to a fun conversation. I've got a call with her on Monday. And honestly, what we talked about for them with their health concerns was the Lifelong Vitality Pack. And I just told them this is foundational. And they both sat there thinking about it. Came back and forth to them with other conversations. We met some really good friends there. And I came back and forth with them with the conversations. And 3 times, both of them said, we want to do this. We want to get on that Lifelong Vitality Pack. We feel really good about it. And we've been talking about it while you've been talking with your other friends. And it was really kind of interesting, a conversation. So we'll see. She's got a daughter-in-law that is familiar with doTERRA. Maybe her daughter-in-law is selling. I don't know, but I'm going to call her on Monday and follow up with her as we agreed, and as her availability was, and see if I can help them. But one thing I did was put out there what I offer. Now, did I sample them first? Probably did, but did it wrong right there in the hot pool. Probably did it wrong right there. I didn't sample them first, but they could see my resolve and my confidence in our product line, and they wanted in on it. And so anyway, I hope to get up there to Ogden again and sample them and give them the positive product experience right off that, and see what we can create there. So everywhere we go, we find people to talk to. And so take advantage, add them as you talk to people, add them to your list. Now, in all seriousness, with Elise Chedevy's, I sat there thinking, I need to sample them. I need to sample them first. I don't want them coming to a class before they're sampled, right? I can get them started on the Lifelong Vitality Pack and bring them into the process and sample them with oils. And so that's kind of my plan. I'm going to do that. And so he doesn't sleep well. They've been dating for 21 years, not married yet, dating for 21 years, which was a really funny conversation. And she suffers from seasonal affective disorder. And she says, I'm just really worried about the winter coming on because I always get depressed. And I said, well, we can work with the citrus oils and turn on the sunshine for you. And she's like, oh, please help me. I don't want to get depressed. And he says, yeah, she needs your help. She needs your help. And she's saying, he needs your help. He needs more energy. He's just always dragging and he needs more energy. And living off of TV dinners as a single man is not a good plan. So let's change that up. And so that might take a little more effort to get his meal plan into place. But at any rate, we can certainly add the micronutrients. So those are some of my wins for this week. And another win was being on a call the other day after convention the last couple of years. The executives open up to the diamonds and above to get on a call about the new products that is very non-compliant. How do you like that? We can't record it. We can't get our team on it. We can take notes only and then take it back to our team. So I want to spend just a few minutes sharing some things that they shared with us yesterday on that call that was really enlightening. And so one of the things they talked about, and they talked about it for a long time with the adaptive line, and Dr. Hill said this is going to be our hero product line. And so they talked about that for a long time and really talked about the fact, the science behind it. They didn't spend a lot on the science. They spent more science at convention. But he talked about the fact that having the neurotransmitters, the alkaloids, and the fatty acids coupled with the essential oils was really incredibly powerful in the overall benefit of that for our bodies. And so they are seeing incredible research with OCD, obviously with anxiety and depression, really fabulous research, PTSD. So I want you to make a list of everybody you know that suffers from depression. One thing that Emily Wright said was, who do you know that is really working off of stress? That's really stressed out, that has high cortisol levels. As I talked with this couple yesterday, Jean, the woman, says, I'm really active, but I do a lot. She says, I'm really, really busy. She's got several things she's involved with. She is a ice dancer. She's an ice dancer coach, an ice dancer judge. She's CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, a machinist business that her son runs. And so she's got a lot of things in the fire, and she's really busy, and she's under high stress. And she talked about the fact that she said, it doesn't matter what I do, I cannot lose the extra weight. And I have felt like that myself. And I know it's because of high cortisol. So I've been taking the adaptive blend really to further that. And I am dropping some pounds finally. And so if you know somebody with high cortisol levels, you want to get them on this adaptive line. If you know somebody who's got a lot of stress in their life, get them on this adaptive line. If you know somebody who doesn't think they have anxiety or depression, but could really benefit from dropping that cortisol levels, get them on this adaptive line, okay? And you're going to see some really great results. And what we're seeing, in fact, Emily talked about the fact that those people around her, she didn't feel like she had anxiety or depression per se. She had moments of anxiety, moment depression. She didn't feel overall that was her issue, but she said the people around her are noticing that she's just more chill. She takes in her environment, she takes in her world, she takes in her life stressors very differently than she was. And so I'm going to encourage you all to use that line and just see what you experience. Sclerotidium root is a really big botanical in that blend that they talked a little bit about, and said that that's going to be a big thing coming forward. Another thing they talked about with the dosing of the capsules is the fact that we'll be seeing more and more of that. We'll be seeing more and more of the dosing because that's what the medical establishment wants. And Dr. Hill said multiple times, he says, we know what amount of essential oils is therapeutically beneficial, and so they can dose it properly. And when they do the science and add the botanicals to it, and just like with the turmeric, the turmeric dual cap, we're seeing big things with that, right? we're seeing that we can increase the absorption of the curcuminoids in the powder by 11 times when we mix it with the essential oil. And so that's a huge thing, and we're going to be seeing more and more of that. So anyway, he talked about that this is going to be foundational. The adaptive lining is going to be foundational for people in general, because we're all under stressful circumstances and our body needs to be able to adapt well. So that's why they called it adaptive. Okay. He talked about sustained benefits from essential oils while targeting focused outcomes, and that's going to be a big deal moving forward. So anyway, we're on the brink of an incredible future, I think. It's a good time to get involved and to really build our businesses strong. He talked about turmeric, and as we were talking, I had people's names. So I have on the top of every page, I have a person that came to mind that I'm going to reach out to as we talked about that. But turmeric, he talked about that incredible benefit of reducing the inflammatory process in our body with the turmeric. Now, we talked briefly, really briefly, about the Yarrow Palm cellular complex and the fact that it has turmeric in it. And why do we need all these other things if we've got that? And we didn't get into that long enough. They talked for an hour and 15 minutes, and they were going to cut it off for an hour. And we probably spent the first 30 minutes talking about adaptive. So then they rushed through the others. So it would be really nice to have about a whole day talking non-compliantly about these products that we didn't have. But at any rate, he talked about turmeric and the benefits of that in reducing inflammation. The fact that we all have inflammation as we age, any kind of degenerative process, especially neurodegenerative processes. Now think of what that is. You've got your Alzheimer's, you've got your Parkinson's, any kind of neurodegenerative disease would be something that you would want to get them on this turmeric for on a daily basis, okay? Let's see, helps the tissues function better and be more healthy in general. We talked again about what we talked about at convention, with it being 11 times more potent in the bioavailability of the nutrients. Turmeric, really helpful for lowering cholesterol levels. Is that what you said in your, did you talk, you talked about that with citronella. Is that right? What did you say, Dana?
I talked about citronella only last night in the diffused aspect of it, but I talked about liver health and how, your liver makes cholesterol. So you have to have a healthy liver to have healthy cholesterol levels. And I talked about some of the emotional factors in it. And then I did tell them, okay, we have way more products to help with cholesterol. This is just one of them, and a new way to use them is how I told them.
Very good. Welcome, Ellen. Good to have you on here. Very good. So he talked about lowering cholesterol, preventing blood clots with turmeric, cardiovascular. He said tons of cardiovascular benefits, liver and stomach support, rheumatoid arthritis. Turmeric would be a big deal. So that would be a big deal for rheumatoid arthritis. Increases the biosecretions, helps break down foods, provides for better digestion, protects against cataracts, prevents against mental illness. So he talked about turmeric being incredibly preventative, not only helping us through the inflammation processes, but for that one. Anytime we have uncontrolled inflammation, we need to be on this turmeric. So any kind of arthritis, he said, would be something. If we need to support our circulatory system, regulate blood sugar, supporting body systems as a whole, turmeric would be a factor in that. Then he talked about the insulin response, that there is a benefit. He talked about the fact, hey, welcome, Megan, so good to have you on here. He talked about the benefit of the turmeric for promoting a healthy insulin response, that diabetes is an inflammatory condition. And hang on, let me just mute you. There you go. So the fact that diabetes is an inflammatory condition, and any inflammatory condition can benefit from being on the turmeric dual caps. And so then he talked briefly about the peppermint and tarot coated soft gels, and the fact that he really targeted that IBS bowel issues. Anybody with he said IBS and IBB. Wendy, are you on here? Do you know what IBB stands for right off the bat? I don't. But he did mention IBB and IBS. But he said
It's IBD.
IBT.
IBD like dog. IBD,
Okay.
it's irritable bowel disorder.
Okay, thank you, Wendy. Thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that. Irritable bowel disorder. Okay, so any people that are struggling with that this peppermint. He said peppermint was a no-brainer. We all knew that was a no-brainer, so that was an easy to provide a peppermint enteric coated gel capsule. So he says it does not replace digestion, but it gets lower in the bowel because it's not broken up by the stomach acids. So he said it will start to provide benefit in the small intestine, but it really does get all the way to our intestine. And so anybody with inflammatory bowel conditions, he specifically mentioned IBS, IBD, Crohn's disease would benefit from the peppermint. So who do you know that has issues with that? Who do you know that has colitis? Who do you know that has Crohn's? And so really this was, be careful on your social media. Don't start spouting these medical diagnoses off. Keep it for your own internal or your own understanding, and then guide those that you're working with to help them through these conditions. All right. He said that you're going to see more and more scientific studies coming out with regards to dosage, and doTERRA has that figured out. And so anyway, I already said that, I think. The Tummy Tamer blend in the roller bottle, we're seeing great results for that. That's going to be your go-to for the little children. It's going to be your go-to for anybody that does not tolerate digestion or issues with digestion. And what I find with irritable bowel disorders or Crohn's, sometimes the digestion is a little bit harsh, and that peppermint soft gel is going to be really a great add to get that, calm that bowel down all the way through. So Tummy Tamer is going to be a great thing. Celery seed, I wish they would have spent a whole lot more information, a whole lot more time on celery seed. But Emily did take some time. We'll get this, and I'm listening to this. But Emily spent some time. I'm going to mute you for a second. But Emily spent some time talking about the dangers of celery juicing, and I've been doing that since July. I've had some really great benefits. That also might be getting the toxicity out of my body so that I'm losing weight. But at any rate, she talked about the dangers of celery juicing because of the fact that we're hard pressed to find any kind of celery that is not laden with insecticides or pesticides. So we risk taking in those toxins as we do that. And so at any rate, Emily Wright juiced celery for 9 months. And yes,
Debbie,
go ahead. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Can you repeat that one more time?
Yes.
What's it laced with?
Laced with insecticides and pesticides. It's one of the dirtiest vegetables, she said. Well, one of the dirtiest, we got to call it an herb now, right? So she said, beware of that. And but she also said that she had juiced for 9 months, and then when she, learned more, she actually has since let that go, but she's using the celery seed oil. So Wendy, I'll just tell you, between me and you, as sisters that have been juicing celery, I just bought another case of celery. I'm going to have to work through that before I quit juicing celery. But I have been using the celery seed oil every morning. We take celery seed oil and lemon oil under my tongue, and then drink my hot water, which I've got right here beside me.
So can I interject really quickly?
And I start my day, then I do the celery juice, and then I eat my breakfast. So at any rate, that's been my, Elena, did you want to jump in here?
Yeah, no, I've always kind of the celery juice, I've always kind of had a little issue about that. Just because you're just doing one vegetable and it's not seasonal. It's no one vegetable, no one is going to be the miracle cure for anything. So even, if you use that philosophy, I don't think you're going to get lost quickly or end up with any problems like that. So don't stop juicing, just make it more variable and do seasonal vegetables. And anytime someone says, oh, this is your solution to everything, that's not how it works, right? So I think that's a great way to, I wasn't going to stop anyone from drinking celery juice because maybe that's the only vegetable they're getting in. But at the same time, when you take that philosophy, then you won't get misled, and you're going to get balance, variety based on the season. So don't stop juicing. Just add some more things in there, and maybe a couple things of celery, just a couple, what are they called? Stalks of celery, and carrots, some beets, a little bit of lemon, and then put a couple drops of your celery seed oil in there if you can handle it.
You can handle it.
Yeah.
I find that if I put it under my tongue, I get it in better than if I add it to my juicing or if I add it to my water.
That's probably the best way to do it.
I put it right under my tongue with some citrus oils, and it's very palatable that way. But by itself, it's really strong. And if I put it under my tongue first and then reach for my lemon, I got to have both bottles open at the same time.
Yeah.
So for those of you who haven't messed with the celery seed oil yet, there's a recommendation. It's a little potent. And so at any rate, the celery seed is going to be the celery seed oil, really helpful for any kind of GERD, any kind of acid reflux issues of any sort. And it's going to actually help calm and heal all the mucous membranes from the mouth out into the toilet, okay? Everything in between. It's going to really decrease the inflammation and heal that mucous membrane lining so that it's doing its job of absorbing nutrients. And he talked a lot about H. pylori. And those of us who know what H. pylori is, that's a really difficult bacteria to deal with. And using the celery seed oil, he said, put it in a gel capsule if you can't tolerate it, but use 4 drops a day at least for 7 to 10 days, and it really will clear that H. pylori up. So there's a real big non-compliant conversation, okay? Any kind of acid reflux issues, any kind of inflammation in the mucous membranes of the entire digestive system, from the mouth, the esophagus, the stomach, all the intestinal tract, out through the colon and rectum, the celery seed oil is going to help heal that. And so anybody you know with malabsorptive disorders of any sort, any kind of allergies throughout their body, celery seed is really going to be a key player in their overall wellness, okay? He talked about citronella also helping with the digestive system, but not as 100% effective as celery seed is. And so I know they spent a lot of time on citronella at convention talking about its benefits with the digestive system. So he said, consider celery seed oil as all things digestive. So any kind of digestive issues is what you're going to be using that for, okay? He said it's also great for water retention and increased uric acid. Anytime we have gout, that's going to be a real key factor. Preventative against stones of any kind, for kidney and gallbladder. You know what? Actually, I think that might be citronella. Dana, would you take a moment to check that citronella with kidney stones and gallbladder stones? I might have mixed that up there. And then he talked about combining celery seed and juniper berry. Great combination for kidneys internally. So now that I have that note in there, maybe I'm okay to say that's still all. The kidney stones and gallbladder stones would be helped with celery seed, but I'm thinking I have that right under my note for citronella, so I might have mixed that up. So Dana, would you check that for a quick second? So, all right, he said citronella was a really strong antifungal, and he talked about athlete's foot at convention, and he actually did say that at convention. And so he said combined with tea tree oil and arborvitae for a fabulous antifungal approach to something that's difficult. So that's going to be a key player, okay? All right, lemon eucalyptus also has some really great antifungal benefits and is targeted specifically for respiratory and candida. So keep that in mind, candida. Now, the bottle is not labeled for internal use, but Emily says, I am using it internally. And we've also seen a change on the labeling of the tea tree oil, that they're taking off the internal use because of the regulations in Australia. This lemon eucalyptus has some same regulations. She says there's regulations to the FDA that they cannot label it. It's not approved for grass or generally regarded as safe for internal use. So they cannot put that on the bottle, but she says, I am using it internally. I encourage you to use it internally too. So when you know of people, now it's going to be a challenge, honestly, because I've always gone by the label. supplemental on the label, we can use it internally, right? I've taught that to all of you. And so the lemon eucalyptus without that on the label, that might be a bit challenging, but they said targeted, 97% effective for helping with candida. So lemon eucalyptus is a big player in healing our gut from those types of issues. So for leaky gut syndrome, it's going to be a big, big player. She said it actually helps break down the biofilm of the candida, and that's what makes it so incredibly potent and valuable. Okay, so make a big note of that. They talked for 1 minute or two on rose, and I wish they would have spent another 30 minutes at least. But they talked about the rose being the queen of all the oils and the fact that it's like a light shining down from heaven. It is the oil of divine love. And so anytime we need a little more divine love in our lives, which is like every day, right? We need a little more rose. And they also said that candida 100% effective for candida, as well as any gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria. So period, across the board in the laboratory setting, Johns Hopkins University has done multiple studies on rose oil and found it effective against every kind of bacteria, period. And Dr. Hill said, we are not using rose enough. Now, I know it's pricey, he said, but you need to get some more rose in your homes and start using it a whole lot more than we do. Black spruce is really great for lifting any kind of emotional blocks. So if we have worthiness blocks, not enoughness blocks, financial blocks, black spruce is going to be a key player. Obviously, it's got some great benefits for the skin and evening the skin tone, helping with any kind of dark spots, really great for pregnancy. The mask of pregnancy, Emily brought that right up. Talked about it being a soothing part of any kind of body massage, that it opens the air. We asked her, when she said it's really great for use in pregnancy, we asked her, there's all kinds of notes, and she didn't go back and readdress that other than the mask of pregnancy. That was what came out initially. But then she said it's just really great overall for pregnancy. So when we have any soothing, any discomforts with pregnancy, black spruce would be a really safe thing. Opens the airways, great for adrenal fatigue. She said it's going to shine really beautifully with anybody with adrenal fatigue. Get that black spruce on their adrenal glands by applying it topically over the back flanks. And the black spruce in conjunction with any conifer oils is a really powerful duo. So any of your juniper berry, any of your spruce are going to be really helpful together for a broad spectrum results in discomfort. Okay. The yarrow palm is going to be really helpful also for PTSD and fight or flight, calms the autonomic nervous system, brings the body back into homeostasis. And so that's why, another reason why they came out with a yarrow palm cellular complex, to get it into our bodies every day, not just topically, but internally. So that's a really simple way to do it. If you don't want to put those drops under your tongue, I've been putting drops under my tongue for some time, but I'm really delving into this yarrow palm cellular complex and trying that out. I know some of your questions are going to be, gosh, how do you get all this stuff in? You know what, I am letting some time go between, like in the morning when I start with my celery seed oil and lemon oil, and I take my turmeric, then I did wait until I got out of the shower to take my adaptive, but I'm really working with that on a daily basis too, trying to figure that out. I did take the yarrow palm cellular complex with the adaptive. That's just how I did it this morning, but that's not how I did it yesterday. So, you know what, honestly, this is going to be a little bit of a get to know your own body sort of experience. And Dr. Hill said multiple times, experiment with these products, work with them, and you're going to see some really great things. Emily talked about the yarrow palm, the body serum oil that they came out with at convention. And she talked about it promoting collagen formation. And so if it promotes collagen formation, it really helps stop the aging process with wrinkles and creases in our skin. And so she said, for you women, we show our aging in various places. We show it around our eyes, around our mouth, on our neck, on our upper chest. We show it around our elbows, around our knees. That see skin that really shows us our age, basically. And if you'll really work with that body serum, you're going to see some softening of those body creases and wrinkles, so that it really keeps your skin younger longer. She recommended this body serum as a vaginal lubricant for sexual intimacy, and talked about as you age and you have less estrogen, and we go through menopause, and we have thinning tissues in the vagina, we're much more prone to injury there with sexual intercourse. And so we need to actually consider this as a vaginal lubricant. She said also the cellular complex is going to be great for purging the blood of toxins. And so any kind of skin issues indicates toxicity. And this is going to be a really great help for psoriasis or eczema. And so this, they also talked about acne on this cellular complex. That any kind of disorders, and so I started my son on it yesterday too. My 15-year-old has cystic acne, and so we started him on that, and we'll just have to play with it and see what we get, right? And so any kind of skin issues indicates toxicity. I've always known that, but there we have it from their mouths to say, okay, this is your cellular complex for any kind of skin issues, okay? If we can't get it down a child's throat that's got eczema, obviously they're not going to be swallowing capsules probably. So applying the Yarrow Pom directly to their area with a little bit of dilution is going to be a go-to for any kind of skin issue. So you're going to see a lot more use of that. And that's why they, when Emily said at convention, I wanted this all over my body, there was good reason for that. So anyway, all right. So any questions? I know that was a really fast and furious. Honestly, the phone call was fast and furious. I could not write fast enough. And initially when I got on the link on the online, we lost sound immediately, and we all had to go in. There were so many on that call from all over the world, which was really cool. So rosacea. Oh, that was another thing that I have in my notes for the Yarrow Pom, rosacea. Oh, you know what? Another thing they said was copaiba increases the absorption of every oil, like peppermint does, in a very different sort of way. And they don't know the mechanism behind why the copaiba does that. In the peppermint, it's the menthol that increases the absorption, that really dilates the vessels and increases the absorption of all the oils, but they don't know why copaiba does the same thing. And so, but that's one that we're not using enough of probably, right? The copaiba. So I hope that's really helpful, informative. It was a fabulous call. Lots of great information on that call, and lots of talk of how we need to be really helping people. So, all right, we're doing okay with time? Everybody good? All right, so I covered some important things. What are your feedback? What are your questions? What are your input? As we've talked about committed and capable people, and talked about a non-compliant call with the executives of doTERRA on the new products. What are your thoughts?
Was that call recorded?
No, and we cannot record it at all, Elena. So you get my notes, and that's all I can share. Jen, looks like you're going to talk. Hang on, I see your mouth moving, but I'm not hearing you yet. You're unmuted on my end. I'm just not hearing you. I don't know if your volume is turned up or not, and you're driving, so. I'm sorry, Jen, darn it, I want to hear you. Okay, we'll catch you another time, or text me and I'll share it later, Jen, okay? When you get to your destination. All right, anybody else want to jump in here and comment?
I have to say I'm excited about all the science behind it. I think a lot of people stumble, they don't have the credibility. And so I think this really gives the essential oils credibility. I have to say though, I have a really science mind. And so for me, I have to remember not everybody does. And so when I'm teaching, I think that's important to just give them enough foundation to where then they can make the next jump and not give them all of it at once.
And one thing that they talked about was, when we are one-on-one with people, we can go ahead and talk this way, but we cannot talk this way online.
Mhm.
So online in our social media groups, we cannot really share all this information. But one-on-one, we can share this information. Another thing that I'm getting from Elise Chedevies is training, is the fact that we got to keep this duplicatable. And so we don't have to know it all, be it all, in order to help others. And so really when we do people a disservice when we know it all. So when we open the books side by side, when they say, well, what can you use for? And we say, I don't know, let's open books. One of the most disservices I did at the very beginning of my business was accept the responsibility to be the neighborhood expert. At that very first class, my neighbor said, Debbie, you're the nurse. And I bought Peggy's book on the spot and they saw me do that. I said, Peggy, can I buy your book? That was pretty bold of me. I look back on that first class and that first experience of getting started with doTERRA. And it was just that years of praying for guidance in the essential oil arena, because I wasn't getting the results that I thought I should be getting. And truly I wasn't. But at any rate, years of experience, I was so ready to learn. And so when I said, Peggy, can I buy your book? Because I knew she could probably get another one, right? But I just wanted it that night, and I started reading it that night. And so when I did that, I was elected to be the neighborhood guru, and I wished I would have never said yes to that, because what it meant was for months on end, I was looking in the book. But it was a great thing for my education, right? To get in those books multiple times a day. But at least really thought, make it duplicatable. If it's not duplicatable, it's not worth doing in your business. And so if people feel like they have to know it all before they can share doTERRA, we're in trouble. So be sure when they say, what can I use for? Open the books, look it up. And here's what I'm finding, and I will say this, that when we compare the Essential Life book with the Modern Essentials book, okay, I am finding that they are integrating the oils in the book with the Essential Life book. That's not happening in the Modern Essentials book. They add a new page. So they print this book for convention by adding a single page in either the single oils or the oil blends section about the new oil, but they're not integrating it throughout the whole book. All right. So though I have 20 of these Modern Essentials book number 10 to give away now, I'm really moving towards using this book more, the Essential Life book, because of how they integrate. I look up celery seed oil, I'm going to find more than one page. If I look up celery seed oil in the Modern Essentials, there's going to be one page in the index. Okay. And so I'm finding, oh gosh, we need to get Aroma Tools on board with integrating it throughout the whole book, and they're not doing that yet. So, and I'm sure that takes some time, but we don't need to print a book if it's not integrated, in my personal opinion. So at any rate, don't be the expert. Let them become their own expert. And clearly what works for me does not work for everybody else the same way. And so helping them find out what jumps off of the page for them, that's what I call it, is opening the books and having them go through and say, okay, what are you drawn to? Let's start there. Okay. And and that's kind of a follow-up wellness consult. I might be sampling them up front with the single most cheapest, easiest sample at first, remembering with the caveat that essential patient's way, that if we don't get the results we want, we've got to go back and add to or change it up altogether. That doesn't mean essential oils don't work. So if we go to our doctor, remember this analogy that Elise gives in the trainings. If we go to our doctor and the doctor prescribes a medication, now you and I wouldn't do that now, right? But before, if we went to the doctor and he prescribed a medication, we pretty much took it, right? And if it didn't do us any good, what did we do? We didn't keep taking it or say medications don't work. We went back to the doctor and said, this is not working for me. I need something else. Or I'm still sick. This antibiotic did not work, right? Or whatever the case might have been. And so the same thing is true with essential oils. So when we sample properly with that caveat that, let's try this and this is how you want to use it. I'm going to follow up with you in a couple of days. And as we follow up, if they're And it's not doing you want to give them a sample of something else to try and work with them until they have a positive product experience. Because the reality is that these products work for everyone, okay? But the same oil may give me a different result than you. And so keep that in mind. So open the books when they have something they're working on, open the books, let the book be their guide, and you're just showing them how to do that. You're showing them how to open the book. You're showing them with a resource book and a box of oils, they can do anything with these oils, okay? And so really work with them on that. So don't feel like you have to learn it all before you share it, okay? So I hope that's helpful. So we're at the bottom of the hour. I would love to delve into a little more to these Elise Chedevy mentor calls, but I encourage you to go back and do them, okay? Honestly, this will be a relaunch for all of us. And if we do it properly, he says that yesterday as I'm listening to her, she has about 4, or maybe 5, I think it's 4 mentor calls with added videos on placements. And probably all of us struggle with placements. Where do I put them now that I've got them enrolled? All of us struggle with that. And if we don't ask what type of person they are in our classes, there's 3 types of people that get involved with this. There's a person that wants to get well. There's a person that wants to take care of their own health concerns, that wants to be just a product user. There's the person who has already been thinking about names, the people that need this product. And there's the person that says, oh my gosh, this can really change healthcare. And they want to do what we're doing. When we put it out there, the 3 type of people that we're dealing with multiple times, and she talks about the fact that we put it out there at this time, and we put it out there at this time, and we put it out there this time. By the time we do a follow-up lifestyle overview, they've heard that at least half a dozen times, if not 10 or 12 times. And we can ask them again. So if we're doing our lifestyle overviews, first 14 days, we're going to be figuring out what type of person they are and where we need to place them on our team. And if we're only working with a person here, there, and everywhere, just occasionally, we're not going to have enough builders in order to place people under. And so anyway, she really spells it out great with placements. It's simplified in a way that I have never simplified it before. So committed, capable people go on your front line, and those are the only ones on your front line. But if you're not working, if you're not relaunching with a large number of influx of people, and you're getting one enrollment here and there, then you're not going to know where to put them necessarily unless you've already got an established team, okay? One thing she really focused on was it's easier to start a new leg than to Band-Aid a leg that's not committed and capable. So she really focused on that. And then she shares how to undo the best possible way. But her number one easiest way to undo our mistakes was to start a new leg. And she says that you might say, well, it took me 10 years to get to this point, or it took me 2 years to build this person to this point, or it took me 2 years to drag them to this point, whatever the case may be, right? And she says, if you're sampling and following up, inviting them to the class after they have a positive product experience so that they enroll, and then you ask them time and time again, what category do you fall in? Are you a product user? Are you a sharer? Are you a builder? When you categorize them properly according to her guidelines, then you're going to be structuring your team much better, and you're going to grow much faster. So anytime we feel like this is another focus she made, was the fact that, if we don't engage if we place our enrollments on other people's teams and we don't make the connection so that they can do the follow-up, we're essentially, she talked about this multiple times, we're essentially doing the work of a double or triple presidential diamond on a meager wage, on an elite or a silver or gold wage. She said, connect them. Make sure that you're placing according to relationships, according to location, and according to what type of person they are. So anyway, you got great things ahead of you as you do those mentor calls. It's a phenomenal training, and I encourage you to take advantage of it, all right? So I'm going to shut up and open it up for you. I'm going to stop the recording. For those of you who listen later, I hope this is really helpful. I hope you've taken good notes. And do not post this video for the masses, please. Okay, because I have been non-compliant in this video too, so don't post it for the masses. So I'm going to pause the recording.